ناظرین السلام علیکم، آپ دیکھ رہے ہیں پروگرام پرسپیکٹیو نقطۂ نظر اویس اقبال کے ساتھ جیو ٹی وی پہ. ناظرین اللہ کے فضل سے مجھے بہت موقع ملتا ہے یہاں پر کینیڈا میں اور اکثر اوقات امریکہ میں بھی لوگوں سے ملاقات کا، تقریبات کے اندر یا جو ہے وہ ون آن ون سیٹنگ کے اندر. بہت ساری فیملیز کو ہم جانتے ہیں، وہ ہمیں جانتے ہیں، ہمیں موقع ملتا ہے مشاہدے کا کہ کس طرح سے ہماری کمیونٹی یہاں میچورٹی کرو کی طرف بڑھتی چلی جا رہی ہے. لیکن جو ایک چیز کامن ہے ہم سب کے اندر، جو ہے وہ مشترکہ حد تک کامن ہے، کہ وہ یہ کہ ہم کہتے ہیں کہ ہم کینیڈا امریکہ آئے تھے اپنے بچوں کے روشن مستقبل کے لیے. جہاں کئی والدین پریشان نظر آتے ہیں، وہیں بہت سارے والدین بہت خوش نظر آتے ہیں کہ ان کے بچے اچھی تعلیم بھی حاصل کر رہے ہیں، مذہب سے بھی قریب ہیں، اور ساتھ ہی ساتھ اپنا پیشن جو ہے وہ کسی نہ کسی انداز سے آگے لے کر چلتے چلے جا رہے ہیں. یہ جان کے بڑی خوشی ہوتی ہے کہ جب ہماری یوتھ اور ہمارے بچے کامیابی کی راہ پر گامزن ہیں تو وہ جو جملہ ہم کہتے ہیں کہ ہم اپنے بچوں کے روشن مستقبل کے لیے آئے ہیں وہ پورا ہوتا نظر آتا ہے. پچھلے ہفتے ہمارے ایک بڑے پیارے دوست عارف ضیا صاحب، ان کی ایک فیس بک کی پوسٹ کے ذریعے میری بھی جو ہے وہ نالج میں یہ بات آئی کہ ان کے بیٹے نے ایک کتاب لکھی. جی ہاں ناظرین، کتاب لکھی. ہم تو یہ کہتے ہیں کہ کتاب پڑھنے کی عادت بنائی جائے تاکہ جو ہے وہ آپ کتاب پڑھیں گے تو آپ کی نالج بڑھے گی، آپ دنیا کو سمجھیں گے. لیکن ہم بات کر رہے ہیں کتاب پڑھنے سے آگے مرحلے کی، کتاب کے لکھنے کی. یہ وہ کتاب ہے جس کا نام دا لاسٹ ڈائری. سبجیکٹ بھی بڑا یونیک ہے ناظرین. دا لاسٹ ڈائری آف محمد دا کانکرر. حسن ضیا نے یہ کتاب لکھی ہے. محمد دا کانکرر یعنی فاتح، سلطان فاتح، جن کے مزار پہ بھی حاضری کی مجھے سعادت نصیب ہوئی استنبول، ترکی کے شہر استنبول میں. اس حوالے سے انہوں نے یہ کتاب لکھی ہے. یہ کتاب کیوں لکھی ہے، اس کتاب کا پرپس کیا ہے، اس کے اندر کیریکٹرز کیا ہیں، یہ فکشن ہے، حقیقت ہے، ہسٹری ہے. میری تھوڑی دیر ان سے بات ہوئی اور اٹ فیلٹ لائک کہ آئی وانٹ ٹو ریڈ دس انٹائر بک. لیٹس ویلکم حسن ضیا ٹو دا شو. حسن السلام علیکم اینڈ ویلکم ٹو دا شو. ہاؤ آر یو؟
I'm doing good, alhamdulillah.
Very good. You know, when I heard about this book, I wanted to make sure that we bring you to the studio, we learn about the book and the people get to know you. مجھے پتا ہے آپ اردو تھوڑی کم بولتے ہیں. You speak
اردو
right?
بولتا ہوں مگر بک کے بارے میں بات کرنا انگلش میں زیادہ آسان ہے.
بک کے بارے میں بات انگلش میں ہم کریں گے. حسن, first give me an idea, what are you doing nowadays, what are you studying and what are your plans?
Right now I'm at McMaster University. I'm studying political science. I'm entering my final year at McMaster, alhamdulillah. And my plans are, inshallah, to become a lawyer one day and even maybe a politician one day.
آپ نے وکیل بننا ہے. ناظرین, جیسے میں نے شروع میں کہا کہ ہم اپنے بچوں کے روشن مستقبل کے لیے آئے ہیں، لیکن کہیں نہ کہیں آپ کو انسپریشن چاہیے ہوتی ہے. کسی چیز کو دیکھ کے، چاہے بچے اپنے والدین کو دیکھ کے یا خود سے کسی پیشن کو ڈیولپ کرتے ہیں اور پھر اپنی منزل کی طرف آگے چلتے چلے جاتے ہیں. جو کتاب میں نے آپ کو دکھائی، محمد دا کانکرر، دا لاسٹ ڈائری، یعنی اس پہ جب اگر آپ نظر دوڑائیں جو سلطان فاتح تھے ان کی انسپریشن کیا تھی. اگر آپ کو یاد ہو ناظرین، جو حدیث مبارکہ ہے کہ جس میں آپ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے ذکر فرمایا تھا کہ قسطنطنیہ کو بھی کوئی فتح کرے گا اور نوجوان ہوگا، اور اس آدمی کے بارے میں بھی کہا کہ اس آدمی کی کیا شان ہوگی. تو سلطان فاتح نے اس حدیث مبارکہ کو اپنی انسپریشن بنایا اور اللہ نے فتح سلطان فاتح کے ہاتھ پہ رکھی. یہ کتاب کیا ہے، اس حوالے سے بات کرتے ہیں. حسن, so you're studying, you're in the last year of your graduation and you want to become a lawyer.
Yes.
So where you got the inspiration to think about the book and write the book?
So ever since I was a little kid, from around 4 or 5 years old, I've always loved reading especially about Islamic history. I started reading about the Prophet Prophet's seerah, and then his companions, Abu Bakr, Uthman, Umar, Ali, all of their histories I read. And then I continued to read about Islamic history, the Umayyads, the Abbasids, the Ottomans, and then from there I took great inspiration in my life. And because of that, I also wanted to demonstrate this great history that we have, because Islamic history is the greatest history in the world, right? And I want to demonstrate it in a platform where there isn't any history demonstrated for Islam, right?
Very nice.
So for most books on history or historical fiction are all about Europe. None of them are about Islamic history. None of them are about the great empires of Islam. None of them are about the Islamic golden age. So I wanted to showcase that in the book.
So history is one thing, but you're transforming the reader through the fiction.
Yes.
And you're taking them into the past.
Yes.
So before we started to record this program, you were telling me that this fiction book, fiction historical book, has 4 characters.
Yes.
Give us some idea who are these 4 characters and what they are going through.
Okay, so the 4 characters are, the first main character, his name is Mehmet Osman. He is the descendant of Fatih Mehmet, right? And one of the things that he goes through is that he's struggling with his identity, and oftentimes because of his struggle, he's just lost in the world. And because of that, his grandmother pushes him to look into his past, to look into his family, right? So he starts studying his family and to take inspiration from his family.
Yeah.
And
so this young Mehmet lives in Canada?
So he's Canadian. And I made him so Canadian so that we can understand how the common teenager is and how their struggles are. And so Mehmet's struggles are reflective of the struggles that many of the youth in our society, including myself, face.
So this is where this story begins. This young Mehmet, 18 years old, lives in Canada. He's the descendant of Sultan Fatih.
Yes.
And he's shy of his identity. He don't understand. And this is where the story begins. Who are the other characters? So the other characters are his best friend. His name is Hamdan Naeem. He's Pakistani, Canadian, and he is also like Mehmet, right? He's struggling with his identity, and because of that, he isn't actually that religious. So he is someone that likes to party, likes to be creative, likes to be all of that, which is like, typical, which happens sometimes. A lot of people, because they don't really understand their identity, they don't understand their history, they don't understand their religion, they unfortunately fall into paths that are not necessarily that religious. Hamdan is a more easygoing person, but he is Mehmet's best friend, and he's always there for Mehmet at every single moment. And the story starts with Mehmet and Hamdan going off to university, and Hamdan being there for Mehmet, right? So that's where the story starts, and then as you go along, you find out Hamdan he struggles a lot with his identity in the book, and with understanding who he is in the world and what his place is as second to Mehmet. Right. So this is second character. Who's the third and fourth? So the third character, his name is Jacob McCarthy. He is a Christian. He's a white Christian, and he lives in a small town, and he becomes Mehmet's friend at university. So from university, he meets Mehmet, and they have a lot of discussions about Christianity and Islam. They talk about a lot about that. They talk a lot about sports, in general, how they are, youth, children are. So it's called, so they just talk about everything in general. And from that, they become close friends. And that's where the story is. And the fourth character? The fourth character, her name is Sally. She is half white, half Punjabi. And her story is that she does not believe in any religion. She is struggling to believe in God because she has a lot of struggles in her personal life. Her father left when she was younger. Her mother fell into depression and addiction between many different type of things, and she kind of abandoned her children, right? Because of that, she goes through many struggles, and she lacks belief in God. And her journey is that she's learning more about Islam. She's learning more, and she's trying to figure out what her beliefs are. Very good. So these are the four characters. Yes. So this first volume, the first book. So is this a fiction? This title, it has how many books? So this series is going to have 3 books in it, inshallah, right? Yeah. So right now I just published the first book, and inshallah soon in the future I'll publish the second and the third. So what's the theme for the first book? So the first book is really, so in the first book what happens is that Mehmet, he discovers the lost diary of Mehmet the Conqueror, right? So this lost diary is given to him by his professor at university, as a basis for him to study, right? Yeah. So he finds his lost diary, and when he opens the book in front of his friends, all of a sudden something happens. The room shakes, and next thing they know, they're all waking up in the 1451 Ottoman world by a Turkish man, and he says, Shehzade Mehmet, right? Shehzade Mehmet, wake up. And he's like, who's Shehzade Mehmet? He's like, you're Shehzade Mehmet, right? And you wake up in the 1451 world, and they're confused what's happening. So they're figuring out. So what happens is that, so when they wake up in the 1451 Ottoman world, so Shehzade Mehmet, Fatih Mehmet's father, he just passed away, right? So because of that, he needs to take up the mantle,
because everybody believes him to be Fatih Mehmet. So he needs to take up the mantle of being Fatih Mehmet. So that's the journey. So he's learning how to become a sultan. He's learning.
So that's the first book.
So that's the first book. He's learning experiences, and he goes through experience of loss of identity. He's like, oh my God, I'm a new person. I feel like a liar. I feel like I'm a cheat. And he's going through all of that internal dilemma, and he's persevering through that to be able to accomplish something great, inshallah.
Then the second book in the volume.
So second book in the volume. So in the first book, there's problem with the Europeans. So Europeans, they say, oh, a young sultan's here. We should come attack, try to get our lands back, right? Then there's also a problem in the eastern side where there's another Turkish empire, right? And they're like, oh, so this Ottoman Empire, they're rising. We need to try to stop their rise. We need to make sure that we also rise, right? So there's problems on both sides. One Turkish side, they come to attack them, and then the Europeans, they come to attack them. And in between that, there's characters that are, within the empire that are helping both sides, and that Mehmet does not know, and he has to figure out about who.
So that's second book. And third book in the series?
So third book in the series is all about the conquest of Constantinople. So the great conquest of
climax.
So Istanbul, that's the entire third book is about that. So it's a very long campaign, it's about 2-month long campaign. So the entire book is just going to be everything about that.
Okay, good. So this first book is being published already?
Yes, it's already published.
So the second and third. So let's say if I read this whole book, then I want the second one quicker, third one even quicker.
Yes.
Are you ready to publish these books in short
period of time? So I have started writing the second book already. I'm already done the first few chapters, and I'm already starting to write the second book. So inshallah, it's just a matter of time. And just the thing is, like, for me to be able to publish a second book, I need to be able to sell the first book very well, because publishing a book actually costs a lot of money. So that's the reason for that. So the second book all depends on the first book's success.
But second book is going to come.
Yes, the second book is going to come.
Yeah.
But yes, it is very dependent on
Dependent on the success. So नाज़रीन, यहाँ पर हम एक छोटी सी ब्रेक लेंगे. आपने देखा ये हमारे सामने यंग ऑथर बैठे हैं, राइटर ऑफ दिस बुक द लॉस्ट डायरी ऑफ मेहमद द कॉन्करर. हसन जिया हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में बैठे हैं. इनसे हम बात कर रहे हैं. इस जो है वो सीरीज़ की 3 किताबें हैं. मैंने चाहा कि पहले सेगमेंट के अंदर वी ट्राई टू बिल्ड सम एक्साइटमेंट कि ये जो है वो किताब क्या है और किस तरह से आपको पढ़ने में इसका मज़ा आएगा. इंग्लिश में लिखी हुई है. ज़ाहिर है जो लोग अंग्रेज़ी पढ़ के उसको समझ सकते हैं उनके लिए, या आपके बच्चों के लिए जो फिक्शन जो है वो पढ़ना चाहते हैं, लेकिन आप देखते हो फिक्शन तो पढ़ रहे होते हैं, बट आप चाहते हैं कि वो थोड़ा सा हमारी हिस्ट्री को भी देखें. सो दैट इज़ अ वंडरफुल अपॉर्चुनिटी हेयर कि हम अपने बच्चों को जहाँ वो 10 किताबें ख़रीद रहे 11वीं ये भी उनको लेकर के दें कि ये किताब भी पढ़ें, फिक्शन भी है, हिस्ट्री का लेसन भी है और फ़न भी होगा. नाज़रीन, ब्रेक के बाद इनसे जानेंगे कि किताब इन्होंने कब लिखी, कैसे लिखना शुरू की और क्रेडिट किसको दिया जाए. तो ब्रेक के बाद भी हमारे साथ रहिएगा.
Ayun & Sabia Lawyers is a full-service law firm. We provide legal services in real estate, immigration, and family law. Our firm offers prompt service to clients and a range of appointment options, online, teleconference, or in person. Our spotless reputation has landed us with awards. We seek to understand each one of our clients with compassion, efficiency, and full knowledge. This is our way of doing business. We are one call away. 905-232-2793.
I'm here in the camps. This is Hamoudi. He's 2 years old, and he's got his loaf of bread. Look, he's looking after his family. This is the loaf of bread that he's going to take back to his family. Can you believe it? At this age, guys, they're looking after their parents. This is someone that I want to take care of here, guys. Hamoudi, Habiz? MashaAllah. Donate now, guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
हमारा रवैया और तर्ज अमल दोनों जन्म लेते हैं हमारे एहसासात और जज्बात से, जो वजूद पाते हैं हमारी सोच और नुक्ता नज़र से. मुस्बत सोच रखना और हर मामले में नुक्ता फहम होना बनता है बाइस इंसानों और माशरों के दरमियान अच्छे बाहमी ताल्लुकात का और बर्दाश्त का. तो आइए शामिल हो जाएं मुस्बत सोच के इस सफ़र में. देखिए प्रोग्राम नقطۂ नज़र ओवैस इकबाल के साथ सिर्फ GEO TV पर. ناظرین ویلکم بیک, بہت شکریہ بریک کے بعد بھی آپ ہمارے ساتھ رہے. آج ہم بات کر رہے ہیں نوجوان آتھر حسن ضیاء سے, جو اسٹوڈیو میں موجود ہیں, جنہوں نے اپنی زندگی کی پہلی کتاب پبلش کی, دا لاسٹ ڈائری آف محمد the Conqueror. جی ہاں ناظرین, سلطان فاتح. لیکن یہ ڈائری آپ کو ہسٹری کے صرف اوراق ہی نہیں بتا رہی, بلکہ فکشن, 4 کیریکٹرز جس کا انہوں نے ذکر کیا کہ جب کتاب پڑھیں تو اس میں کوئی مزہ بھی تو, انٹرسٹ بھی تو. کس طرح سے یہ جو محمد کیریکٹر ہے, جو ینگ لڑکا ہے, کینیڈا میں رہتا ہے, ٹرکش, کس طرح سے وہ 1451 15th سینچری کے اندر اس کی جرنی ہوئی, اور اس کے ساتھ اس کے دوست کس طرح سے اس جرنی کا حصہ بنے. پہلی کتاب میں وہ پورا کانٹیکٹ سیٹ ہو رہا ہے, دوسری کتاب کے اندر جو ہے وہ محمد جو ہے وہ بادشاہ بنتا ہے, وہ کیسے جو ہے وہ سارے معاملات کو سمجھتا ہے, اور تیسری کتاب کے اندر بات ہوگی کہ کس طرح سے محمد فاتح نے استنبول کو, قسطنطنیہ کو فتح کیا, جس کی آج بھی دنیا میں گونج موجود ہے. حسن, the art of storytelling.
Yes.
You know, everybody, or not everybody, a lot of people wants to write the book, but only the book gets popular where the art of storytelling is there.
Yeah.
Stories are out there, but not many people can tell. Where did you get this from?
So for me, from the beginning, I've always the excitement of storytelling came to me with my grandmother. Mm-hmm. So she actually, what's it called? Whenever she'd come over to our house when I was younger, as a little kid, she would tell stories about my father, our family.
So she had that art.
She would tell stories, and she was very good at telling stories. She would have me hooked. I'd sit there, me and my sister would sit there, and we'd ask more stories. Yeah. And she would tell us stories, and that's where the excitement of storytelling came to me, and reading stories and everything in general. Everything started from there. That's why
you're dedicating this book to your Dadima?
Yes, I'm dedicating this book to my Dadima, and the reason for that is because she never fails to inspire. And it's the same way Muhammad's grandmother inspires him, the same way my grandmother, my Dadima, inspires me.
Very good, very good. So when did you start writing this book, and what triggered you to start writing the book?
So what happened is that the pandemic happened, and everything shut down. So there was no going outside, there was no going to meet with friends, there was no going to hang out. So for me, I've always loved reading since I was a little kid, right? So between, like, say the first few months of the pandemic, I probably read 40 to 50 books. Just reading, because there was nothing else to do. So that's just reading. And then from that, I was like, you know what? I want to write something too. Like, I've always written small things for school and everything like that, but I've never written an entire book, right? And I'm like, and I was reading one of the books, and I was like, this book is very nice, and I want to be able to write something like this. Maybe even something better than this, inshallah, one day, right? So I just started writing, and one day I started writing about Islamic history, just in general. I wasn't writing about any specific Islamic history. I was just writing in general about Abu Bakr, about Umar, about all the different companions, and I was writing about it. And then I was like, you know what? There's this great history we have about conquering one of the greatest cities in the world, even one of the greatest cities to this day. So, and it was a young guy who conquered it. So I was like, I want to tell this story to the entire world.
Very good. So that triggered. And how long it took you to finish the book?
So I started writing this book in about June, July 2020.
Yeah.
And so till August 2022.
So 2 years.
So about 2 years, yeah.
2 years, the product is out. And you did not, I'm sure that you might have situations where you might have said, you know what, this is it, I'm not continuing. For sure. How you lifted up yourself to the point that the book is in front of us now?
For sure. So especially the first few months writing was, it was difficult because I was learning how to write properly.
Yeah.
I was learning how to tell a story. So it was difficult. But at that time there wasn't really any school. It was just, and there was a pandemic, so there wasn't any going out. But of course, as things slowly began to open up, as school began to come in, it was very difficult to find time to actually write the book, right? So I was constantly busy, and especially my degree, political science, there's a lot of writing involved, right? So because of that, I would get disillusioned often from writing the book. And the only time I'd get to write the book would be between 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. So between Isha time and Fajr time.
That's the time
That's the time I would use to write the book.
Quietly write the book.
Because the house would be quiet. And I'd be done my schoolwork at that point in time. So I'd spend that time writing my book.
It's a lot of hard work.
A lot of hard work. And because of it being late, a lot of times I'd mess up and have to write all over again in the morning and all over again. But alhamdulillah, when when you put your mind to something, right?
Yeah.
And you persevere through it, Allah is always there to help you with it, right?
Absolutely.
So Allah, whenever you do good work, Allah is always there helping you, helping you, right? And I could not have written a single word without the help of Allah.
So are there some names that you want to call out and give credit, those who kind of, inspired you, supported you to get where you are right now with this book?
For sure. My parents, I would not be here without them. My mom and dad, they would drive me out. So at a young age, I was doing hifz, and they would drive me through storms far away.
Yeah.
to go to school, to memorize the Quran, to get Islamic education. I like to also acknowledge my hifz teacher, Brother Hamza Altaf, Brother Hamza Tanveer, Brother Arij, Brother Shuaib. All of them, they're always while memorizing the Quran, they teach me aspects. Here the Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is talking about this. Here's talking about this. Also, the context behind this is this happened in history. This happened in history. So I learned a lot about Islam from my teachers, and because of that, I like to thank them a lot, because
Very good.
they were really my mentors, and they were really, what helped inspire me and bring me closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala.
Very good.
And also I'd like to acknowledge my friend Liban. He is at times, because of there's a lot of struggles in life, right? There's a lot of struggles, especially during high school. During high school, I went through a lot of struggles, where at times where I'd be getting away from the religion at times, right?
Yeah.
And my friend Liban, he'd always
bringing you
be
back.
a rock. You can't be doing this. You gotta be back to us. So I'd like to acknowledge him a lot, because he's always been there for me. He's never been never left my side.
Very good. So
sure.
what was the reaction of your teachers at McMaster University, and your cousins, your close friends, when they heard about this book?
For sure. So one of my teachers, I did tell earlier about my book, and she was very, very excited about it. She always said that whenever I get published, go tell her. So I actually have not reached out to her yet, because this is very recent, but hopefully in the coming days I will reach out to her, and her reaction will be great. My cousins, my family, they were all beyond excited. I think one of my cousins, the second I announced that, my book's published, he had ordered five copies immediately. He's like, I'm gonna share all my friends, and all my cousins are very, very supportive. My cousins, my siblings, my sister Hania, they're all very, very supportive, and they're telling all their friends, buy the book, and I love all of them. I could not be here without them. I could not have published this book without them, and I love them a lot for that.
Very good, very good. So there's 3 volumes to come, right? First is out, second, third you mentioned, maybe this year, next year.
Yes, inshallah.
Are there any other topics circling in your mind that you want to...
I have quite a bit of topics circling in mind. So the thing is, when you write one book, you start realizing, there's so many... Writing a book actually opens your mind a lot, right? So because you're away from your phone, you're away from social media, you're in the mind of writing, right? And you just want to keep writing. So I have many different topics in mind. So there's a lot of history yet to be uncovered in literature, right? So in Africa, there's a great Sultan named Mansa Musa. So his story has almost never been told by anyone, even by many Islamic scholars. He was one of the richest men in the world.
Yeah. Oh wow.
One of the richest. He was in fact the richest man in history. His empire would produce so much gold. And in fact, one of his brothers actually was one of the first people to actually reach North America many years before Christopher Columbus. So you may become
the historian of the modern world.
That'd be great. So there's that story I want to tell. Then there's also the great conquest of Spain by Tariq ibn Ziyad. So he had a very small army to Spain and conquered the great lands and created one of the greatest civilizations humanity has ever seen. And it was a Muslim civilization, right? It was advanced in art, in science, in just everyday living. The rest of Europe at that time was very unhygienic. They had dirty roads. They didn't have any paved roads. But in Spain, because Muslims were there, they had great structures, great buildings, great masjids. They had paved roads. They had great understanding in sciences.
They were modernized.
Yes, and the last series that I had planned, another series is that I want to talk about the partition of Pakistan and India, because the history is that the partition of Pakistan and India obviously happened, right? And the creation of Pakistan was obviously a very great news for everyone, But there's also a lot of violence that happened because of that, and a lot of, that it wasn't necessarily the fault of anyone in Pakistan and India. necessarily. It was a fault that a lot of the British people, a British lawyer who had never been to the land, had divided it. So I want to tell the story of two children, one in Pakistan, one in India, who have been separated from each other. And that's one of the stories I want to tell, inshallah, in the future.
Very good, Hasan. All the best to whatever you are up to. And I can tell, inshallah, great books will come out from
Yes,
you.
thank you very
And the
much.
world will benefit today and the time to come. So thank you, Hasan, and all the best. ناظرین آپ نے سنا کس طرح سے حسن نے جو ہے وہ اپنے اس فکشن ناول یا ہسٹری بک، آپ اس کو جو بھی کہیں، اس حوالے سے بات کی. بائی دا وے دس بک از اویلیبل آن امیزون. صرف $20 اس کی پرائس ہے. آپ امیزون پہ جا کے سرچ کیجئے دی لاسٹ ڈائری آف محمد the Conqueror. یہ کتاب آپ کو ملے گی. اپنے لیے بائی کیجئے. اپنے بچوں کو جو انگلش ناول پڑھتے ہیں ان کو یہ کتاب ضرور دیجیے گا. لیکن آپ نے دیکھا کہ کس طرح سے ہمارا فیوچر ان ملکوں میں برائٹ ہے ہمارے بچوں کے ذریعے. جب آپ نے سنا، جب میں نے حسن سے پوچھا کہ یہ کتاب آپ کس کو ڈیڈیکیٹ کر رہے ہیں، تو انہوں نے اپنی دادی کا بتایا کہ کس طرح سے ایک وہ سٹوری ٹیلنگ کی جو انہوں نے وہاں سے سیکھا اپنی دادی سے. اور جب ہم بات کرتے ہیں سپورٹ اسٹرکچر کی، وہ لوگ خوش نصیب ہیں کہ جن کے پیرنٹس یہاں موجود ہیں. دیکھیے اگر ان کی دادی یہاں ان کے ساتھ موجود نہ ہوتی تو شاید حسن نے یہ پیشن جو ہے وہ بلڈ ہی نہ کیا ہوتا. سٹوری ٹیلنگ کا جو آرٹ ہے وہاں سے حسن نے سیکھا، اور آج سٹوری ٹیلنگ آرٹ کا جو انجام ہے، یعنی انجام کی جو پہلی سیڑھی ہے، وہ اس کتاب کی شکل میں آپ کے سامنے موجود ہے. The way Hasan has expressed this whole topic is truly remarkable. کس طرح وہ 4 کریکٹر ہیں، اور محمد کس طرح سے جو ہے وہ اس کو دیکھیے کینیڈین کانٹیکس بھی دیا ہے. نہ صرف کتاب لکھی ہے، اس کو کینیڈین کانٹیکس کے ساتھ اس کو جوڑا ہے. دیٹ از دی آرٹ. اور یہی ہمارا مستقبل ہے جس کے لیے ہم آئے تھے کہ اپنے بچوں کا روشن مستقبل دیکھیں گے. آج یہ آپ کے سامنے ہے. امید ہے کہ آپ کے بچے بھی انشاءاللہ ترقی کی منازلیں طے کریں گے. ناظرین اپنا خیال رکھیے گا. اگلے ہفتے آپ سے پھر ملاقات ہوگی. السلام علیکم.
دیکھیے ای آواز ٹی وی لائیو تمام IPTV باکسز پر پاکستانی یا اردو سیکشن میں، یا ہماری ویب سائٹ وزٹ کیجیے eawaz.com.
I'm here in the camps. This is Hamoudi. He's 2 years old, and he's got his loaf of bread. Look, he's looking after his family. This is the loaf of bread that he's going to take back to his family. Can you believe it? At this age, guys, they're looking after their parents. This is someone that I want to take care of here, guys. Hamoudi, Habiz? MashaAllah. Donate now, guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ayun & Sabia Lawyers is a full-service law firm. We provide legal services in real estate, immigration, and family law. Our firm offers prompt service to clients and a range of appointment options, online, teleconference, or in person. Our spotless reputation has landed us with awards. We seek to understand each one of our clients with compassion, efficiency, and full knowledge. This is our way of doing business. We are one call away. 905-232-2799.
ہمارا رویہ اور طرز عمل دونوں جنم لیتے ہیں ہمارے احساسات اور جذبات سے، جو وجود پاتے ہیں ہماری سوچ اور نقطۂ نظر سے. مثبت سوچ رکھنا اور ہر معاملے میں نقطہ فہم ہونا بنتا ہے باعث انسانوں اور معاشروں کے درمیان اچھے باہمی تعلقات کا اور برداشت کا. تو آئیں شامل ہو جائیں مثبت سوچ کے اس سفر میں. دیکھیے پروگرام نقطۂ نظر اویس اقبال کے ساتھ صرف GEO TV پر.